Hey, my truth seekers, how are you doing? Welcome to my live real talk with your girl, Lady D. Let me see if I can come up a little closer. How are you guys doing on this blessed Sunday? Hope you guys are doing very good. Tonight we have story time, and I'm going to see if I can just stay just 1 hour. So, mods, when you come in or whoever listen to this live right here, make sure you remind me that I am here for 1 hour. Guys, look, we're going to go into the book. Yes, indeed. We're going to go into Queen. Yes, Mother Shahrazad Ali. We're going to go ahead and, I think we in chapter one. We still in chapter one because this right here, this is good. This is what I call good information. This right here is called The Black Man Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. Make sure you go ahead and get that book, guys. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. I've been in this book. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I've been cheating. Okay, I went past chapter one, but I'm going to go ahead and stay right here in chapter two. Okay, but this is good. So make sure you go ahead and check this book out. You can go to Amazon. That's where I went ahead and got my book from. It's called The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman, Shahrazad Ali. And as you can see, I put my head wrap on because I want to go ahead and reverence the queen. Okay. So, guys, how are you guys doing? Hope you all are doing great. Out here is very, very beautiful. Very beautiful. So let me go ahead and put my copyright disclaimer on. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. And also, guys, make sure you go ahead and hit like, comment, and share these videos for more unapologetic content. And like I said, when it comes in here, guys, my content, I want to make sure that I let you guys know it's not for everybody. It's for those that are seeking the truth, people that thinks outside the box. We got a lot of people, they will say that they are critical thinkers, but they still have that European mindset. So I'm talking to my people that, like I said, they just had enough. Okay, enough is enough. So again, guys, we're going to go ahead and do story time. Shahrazad Ali, The Black Man Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. And as you can see right here by the question, let me go ahead and see if I can go ahead and put the question up so you all can see the question that I have. The impact of fairy tale stories. The impact of fairy tale stories. I want to go ahead and talk about that. How these fairy tale stories, we've been taught since we was a child, even before we came into this world, we was reading fairy tale books. But the question is, was those books helpful, at least to some, or it played an impact when it comes to the upbringing, when it comes to the young child and the young son. So we're going to go ahead and get into all that right there. But also, I saw something on Velvet, the one that was a part of Nature Boy, Nature Boy, when she was a part of his wife, I guess his ex-wife now, because I saw where she had like an engagement ring on, but she said something to she didn't say, but she wrote it to me. It was so profound, where she said, "You healed your wounds instead of spreading the pain. That's strength." So what I had got from that message is that you could heal your wounds without spreading, with instead of spreading the pain. You know how some people, they feel that they got to, keep coming on, and they got to keep talking about certain things, and especially when it comes to social media. Like I say, social media is the last place. If you think that you're going to get some kind of therapy, that's the last place. Okay, especially when you around people that is clout chasing, that people that they can tear down, but they don't know how to build up. So I thought, that was good. I wanted to go ahead and share this with you right there. But also, before I get on, guys, I want to go ahead and show you this right here. Let me go ahead and show you this right here. Hold on. Let me make it up. I'm gonna go ahead and
I brought her to use her for content.
Right. So y'all just fucking with her.
Did Mr. Bishop have different characters that he would do for production?
Yes, he did.
Can you tell us some of the characters he would do?
Mr. Bishop, Dr. Bishop, it was like a psychologist character that he would play to help some of the members go through anything that they were going through. He had Uncle Fernando.
What was Uncle Fernando?
It was just like a comedian.
Okay.
He just,
Okay. Anyone else that you saw him act as?
Three guys.
Okay, what was that?
Well, that was just a character. If you look at the spiritual meaning of three, it's the perfect number. It means knowledge, wisdom, being in harmony with the universe. So that was a character that he played, and we all.
So I'm gonna go ahead and stop it right there, right quick. But I wanted you to see the part how some of the things that is happening to us is because of our childhood. Certain things that we thought that we was doing good because it was a part of what we call the European standards. It was part of, being a part of what we call America life, that you teach your kids all these fairy tales, Cinderella and all these characters, and not knowing, that when it comes to those characters, when the kids grow up, some of them, they stay stuck in that. So I want to go ahead and share that with you guys right fast. But let me go ahead and get into this book, because we are going to stay at least 1 hour, guys, 1 hour. So I'm going to start back with what we had started with, and that's chapter 1. But I'm gonna start where we had left off at. Okay, so guys, again, welcome to Real Talk with your girl, Lady D. Make sure you go ahead and comment and share these videos for more unapologetic content. So let's go. I'm gonna go ahead and start again. Those that is coming on, this right here is called The Black Man Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. And this part where I'm at right now is talking about these fairy tale stories that we have taught our kids from a very, very early age. And we are so quick to say that we have brainwashed our kids, or not. We don't say we brainwashed the kids, but we sit there and say people have brainwashed, but we are the ones that have brainwashed our kids. We brainwashed our kids before they even came into this world. So I'm gonna go ahead to this chapter right here, chapter 1. And guys, make sure you go ahead and get this book. I got this book right here off of Amazon. I think I paid like $25 or $30, and I promise you, you won't be disappointed, because the nuggets are right here and it's still alive today. So right here it says that the childhood watches her mother stimulate several emotions: pleasure, admiration, enthusiastic interest, and cooperation. But the cutting side of the issue is that the mother obviously is projecting fake agreement, and it seems to work. So right there, the mother think that she's doing good, but what she's doing is She projecting fake agreement. In addition to these negative impressions about the capability and inconsistencies of the black man who gone all the time anyway. So the black man is gone all the time, and not because he's out there hanging with his boys, but most of the time the black man is at work, and he's at work from sun up to sundown. So all the child see is the mother. So the mother is like we said last week, the mother, she is the first teacher. The girl child is introduced to fairy tales as bedtime and story time reading. Some of the stories are fantasies about the wonderful life white men and white women lead. They tell about how gallant the white man is and how he has always saved the day of the white woman. So as you read these fairy tales, because most of these characters, they are white, and we wondering why, especially when it comes to young kids and young girls, they have identity problems because they don't know who they are, because we was fed this whitewash life from a very early age. Now you seeing more black characters coming out now, but back then you didn't see no black characters. Especially I didn't, maybe my daughter, but back then at my age we didn't see any black characters. Now you see black Cinderellas. I remember Brandy, Norwood. I remember she played Cinderella, and then we got the other one. I can't even think what her name is. She played the mermaid, and grown folks, yes, grown folks was sitting there. I mean, really angry and saying some mean things about her just because she played as a mermaid, and she was very beautiful. And I remember someone, and it stuck to my head, where they said that if anyone should play the part of being a mermaid, it should be us, because how many bodies that they threw in the Atlantic when they was trying to sit there and get us out of our country, out of Africa. So make it make sense, okay? All the bodies that's was thrown in the Atlantic Ocean. So let me go ahead and continue. It also says that the description are usually vague, such the black woman does not know or admit the good values in the black man. One can only describe with words, with one known or discovered as the black woman is hard pressed to dig up good renditions about the black man and put it into words. Since she doesn't live it, she can report about it. So let me make sure. Hold on one second. Let me make sure that I go ahead and put up my my little thumbnail. I want to go ahead and put that up right there. So let me make sure if I get the right one. So again, guys, welcome to Real Talk with your girl, Lady D, unapologetic and 9 buys. Okay. So all this right here, we're going to go ahead and leave this up right here, okay? Because like I said, and just leave your questions, comment what you thought about it, especially when it comes to these fairy tale books, we are reading to our kids, is it a good, is it a good image when it comes to all that right there? Does it plays a role in our kids when they are growing up? Also, it says if the book are about African, so where am I? Let me see where I'm at. I don't want to go ahead of myself. It says one can only describe with words. Hold on. One can only describe with words which one knows or discover. And the black woman is hard pressed to dig up good renditions and the black man and put into words, since she doesn't live in, she can report about it. If the books are about if the books is about Africa, the girl child still cannot really identify or match the African king ideal with her daddy during down in the living room, spoiled in his favorite chair, while she watch her mother work in the kitchen. So the girl child, she cannot identify with African kings because she sees something totally different in her home when her mom and her dad together. So if she see a picture of an African king or African queen, The girl child still cannot relate to it because she sees something totally different, the things that is going on in her household. That's why we have to be careful, because like I said, children, they mimic all that, and they see it. They may not say anything, but they know exactly what's going on when it's in the home, and they grow up. And you're wondering why when they grow up, they grow up hating man, or they have some kind of identity crisis because of what we have planted into them. Also, it says that the black mother thinks that fairy tales are harmless entertainment for her daughter and son and have no other interest value to the development of the child. So the mother think by reading fairy tales books, she think that it's harmless, but not knowing, these kids, especially when it comes to different characters, which we're going to go on with that, those kids, it sticks within them. And once they grow up, it's totally different. So also it says that a new brain, yet not equipped with a psychological tool to filter or discement information, except any and all information, it is programmed with the truth. Fairy tale characters, cartoons, and talking animals represent the truth to them, and judging the outcome are very detrimental to the child development and reality recognition. Now, it's not harmful to every kid. Some kids, I'm not talking about all this is to all kids. And we're going to make sure that we get into that as well. But with the talking animals, and you know how we buy toys for the kids, with talking animals and, all that, stuff, it plays a toll to some kids. Also, it says that consequently, when the girl child arrived at school, she has already been programmed with a bushel of false ideals about what is real and unreal, and what is for play and what's actually exists. So by the time the girl child she gets to school, then she confused because she was taught, since she was a child, since she was a baby, about fairy tales, about talking animals. And now that she's in school, now she's seeing real people totally different than the fairy tales that she saw in the book. And all that right there is it causes the child to be confused. And I know, guys, when it comes to this type of information, it's not for everybody. Okay, I'm talking to people that are critical thinkers. Okay. And it says consequently, which I read that it says when the girl child arrived at school, she has already been programmed with a bushel of false ideals about what is real and unreal, and what is for play and what's actually exists. Between seeing and touching real flesh and blood people and being introduced to Mickey Mouse, a talking rat, Cinderella, Snow White, Superman, Cookie Monster, Big Bird, Donald Duck, Casper, Bugs Bunny, the Smurfs, the Muppets, and Garfield, and the host of other cartoons, she is quite confused. So after she been introduced with all those different characters, now she's starting to see real people. And all that right now, is processing in her little small brains. And some people, they live in what I call this la la land. And also, they could have brought up Toyson. I really was confused when it came to Toyson, because I felt like, Toyson and Jane, they was in Africa, and I was always wondering when I was a child, why was the white? Now they are surrounded by all, African people, but the king of the jungle was a white man, and the queen of the jungle was a white woman. That part right there confused me, as a child. I was wondering. So when I saw recently, I saw where they went ahead and they made another edition of Toys, I didn't even watch that mess. I say, now we know the truth. Why are they sitting there making another movie, a Toys movie? Why? Because to me, like I said, a lot of stuff that we was taught, they put it in a book and it became a whitewash lie, and it's wondering why we have identity crisis and why we have all these different characters. And that's why I went ahead and I played with Nature Boy, because they were saying that Nature Boy, which if you was watching him, he had many different characters. He played out many different characters, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna break it down. And like I said, when it comes to all this stuff right here, it's gonna go clean over some people head. But he that have an ear, let him hear. Okay. So also, let me go see where I'm at. It says that she carried these fantasies into the future, and they govern many of her emotions and ideals. They become deeply rooted in her psyche and will override true information from other sources. So all that stuff right there is just playing a toll in her brains, because now she's trying to figure out, what's going on. I'm seeing a lot of flesh and blood, a lot of human beings, and all the while when I was living, I was under the mom's room, from a child, all I saw was stuffed animals and fairy tales, and now I'm seeing the real stuff, and you're wondering why a lot of kids, they go through a lot of peer pressure because we taught our kids a lie, just like when it comes to Santa Claus. And this channel right here is for 18 on up. Like I said, we lied to our kids. We are part of brainwashing our children as well. I thought at from a very long time, when I was living with my mom, I thought that it had a Santa Claus. I was wondering why Santa Claus used to sit there and come to everybody else's house but never came to my house. Some of that stuff, we call psychological damage when it comes to our kids. And she is not just looking at the cartoons, she's also listening to their dog law and copies their responses. She is taught to love these artificial personalities. During the time, she's also introduced to Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny. Oh, we can't wait to sit there and break the bank when it comes to Easter. Easter is right around the corner. All this stuff is dealing with, economic, just to make sure that they keep you broke, keep you in bondage. All this stuff, that's what it's all about. So they're going to teach you all these false lies, because all it's about is just to keep you broke. That's all it's about. Cupid and the Tooth Fairy. I remember the Tooth Fairy. My God, do I? All of these toys, animals, and people are represented to her as good, and none of these first heroes, which she is taught to love and admire, all black. So all the heroes that she see and she admire, none of them is black. Most likely the only thing that she have that is black, and that's her doll. Everything else is white. The Cinderella, the Rapunzel, the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and but all these other characters, all of them is white. And right there, it got her fused. And we wondering why we got our people, especially our black women, they want to dye their hair, they wants to put blue contacts in, they want to bleach their skin, because this European standards got us all confused. So like I said, we can blame Dottie Squad and everybody, but we also play a part of doing this stuff to our children. And once they grow up and they have identity crisis, no one is not going to tell them, oh, you need to go to therapy. No, what they going to do, they going to put them in prison, from school to prison. Like I said there and say, we are just, it's like we were set for failure, set up for failure. So right here it says, be aware that all of this misinformation imparted into this chapter is transmitted to the black female child, usually from the mother. By the time she is 5 years old, what a beginning. So by time the child is 5 years old, this is what she see. This is what she mimic. And like I said, I know that a lot of people don't want to hear stuff like this. They don't want to hear stuff like this because people want you to tickle their ears. But like I said, it's time for us to wake our people up. It's time for us to sit there and get to a solution. We be saying, well, what is the solution? What is the solution? Stop lying to your kids. Because, like I said, all you doing is setting your kids up for failure. That's all you're doing, just setting them up for failure. So let me go ahead and play a little more of this right here, guys. So I want to go ahead and talk a little bit more about this right here. So as you can see right here, you see that this is all the child see in the home, seeing the families, fussing and arguing, and some of them get along real great. But you never know when the kids, they see all this, but yet you putting all these fairy tale books and they seeing something totally different. Okay, so like I said, guys, it is what it is. So let me go ahead and play this right here. I want you guys to see this right here. Let me move this right here because I got a lot of stuff that's open.
I think you have done better by that.
Yes.
I'd like to know your opinion of the white woman.
I think you have done better by your man than we have done by ours.
Bill, I need to take this opportunity.
Now look at their expression, look at their face. Like Shahraz Ali said that I think that you all when the white lady had asked Shahraz Ali, what do you think about white people? And she said, I think that you did good by your man than what we have done. And you saw how the faces they have dropped because see, they thought that she was going to go ahead and say something different. Now everybody, guys, and I want to make sure I put this out, not everybody think that when it comes to fairy tale books, they think that it's harmful with the kids. They don't think so. So another question is, what if fairy tale books, the reason some children grown up with multiple personalities? So that's the question that I asked, and I did some research. What if fairy tale books are the reason why some children develop multiple personalities as they grow up? And here are some of the stuff that I went ahead and I pulled up, where it says that the idea suggests that the fairy tale books during childhood may potentially contribute to the development of multiple personalities in some individuals as they grow up. Because I remember when what's her name, Ayana Fix My Life, when she was telling and even Queen Shahraz Ali talked about it, how some people they get stuck in a certain age, like some just get stuck in at 14 and they don't know how to, they can be like 35, they can be 45, and they still have a 14-year-old mind. They still think that they are a child. And it takes, the right people to come in and help them, to break some of them layers so they can be able to catch up with their real age. But we got a lot of grown folks right now that's walking around with a child mindset. And like I said, it may not be good to some of you guys, but this right here is good information to me. Okay. Also, it says right here, fairy tales often feature characters with distinct personalities and multiple identities, such as princes, witches and talking animals. And you remember, I remember when some of the books that I used to read, I used to be so scared. I didn't even want to sleep in my bed. I always wanted to sleep with a night light, still sleep with my bathroom light on. I remember, when I used to read some of these books, because I love to read, I used to look all under the bed, because of some of the stuff, man, it was very dark, it was very spooky. And you be wondering, why kids, have nightmares, because of the stuff that they are reading. You thinking that these books are, bedtime stories, stories that's going to, have a good impact when it comes to your kids. But some of that stuff, it puts fear, it put nightmares, it really scares the kids. So also it says fairy tales often feature characters, which I read, that it is speculated that the repeat exposure to these stories was character switch between different roles and identities could influence children understanding of identity and self. As children immerse themselves in these tales, they may internalize the idea that it is normal or even desirable to have multiple personalities or identities. So some of these kids, and we'll sit there and say, oh, she's a bird. Oh, she's acting like she's Cinderella. And they grow up, looking for this Prince Charm and find out that it's not as fairy tale, as they once believed. And right there, they're going through all types of mental disorder, depression, because it's not that fairy tale life as they once thought it was. And furthermore, fairy tales often involve characters facing various challenge and conflict, which can prompt children to identify with different aspects of their characters. The identification with multiple character traits may contribute to the development of a more fluid sense of self potential, leading to the manifestation of multiple personalities later in life. So some of that stuff, like I said, we don't realize that we play a major part in a lot of stuff that is happening to our children. And the first thing that, we're going to say, oh, the reason why, they act in the way they acting is because, they have been brainwashed. Yes, they have been brainwashed, but it started with their parents. It started with their mother. It started before this child was able, even talk or walk. We start brainwashing our kids instead of telling our children the truth. We've been teaching our kids a lie way before they came into this world. We've been teaching them a lie. Where now finally some people are waking up where they'll tell the children, oh, it's no Santa Claus. It was daddy putting presents under the tree. Oh, it's no Easter bunny that's laying eggs. So what have you, when you ever knew a Easter bunny laying eggs? Make it make sense. And we break our neck to sit there and help our kids to pass these lies on to their next generation, on to their children. Wow, we played a part. We got a lot that we have to sit there, and we got to sit there and take accountability. We have to take accountability of a lot of stuff that we have done. And like I said, when it comes to this type of talking, it's not for everybody, okay? Because we still stuck in it. We still stuck in it. We not ready to come out. We'll sit there and we quick to hand our brothers and our sisters over, but no one wants to see what was the problem, what was the cause of this, because we still have this thinking mindset. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. Where am I? It says, furthermore, fairy tales often involve characters facing various challenge and conflict, which can prompt children to identity with different aspects of these characters. The identification with multiple character traits may contribute to the development of a more fluent sense of self, potentially leading to the manifestation of multiple personalities later in life. However, it is important to note that the idea is purely speculative and not supported by scientific research. So some of this stuff, it's not, accurate. It is not happen to everybody. Some people it'll play a toll on, and some people that it won't. So let's go ahead and talk about the fairy tales are, let me go ahead and go to this right here. So some of them, the ones that think that fairy tales, it helps build the kid's character. Okay, so some says that fairy tales are in no way harmful to the younger generation. In fact, fairy tales help build up their characters, their imaginations. Fairy tales are nothing but a foolproof way of teaching kids moral values. Here are some examples. They talking about Cinderella. So they're saying, how Cinderella, she was a poor off orphan girl, ill treated by her stepmother and her stepsisters who believe in herself and finally, get to be a princess. So that right there, they saying that, it can help your kids, when it comes to their upbringing. It doesn't matter where that child came from, that child still can have a fairy tale life. So guys, let me know what your thoughts about it. I find that this is very, very interesting, very, very informative. Okay, and like I said, when it comes to this type of teaching, waking our people up, they don't want to hear it, because we love to be entertained. We love the reality shows, we love the entertainment shows, because that's the way that we was taught. And we so quick to sit there and hand our brothers and our sisters over, not knowing that we played a part in it. And the thing about it is that no one wants to take accountability. No one wants to take accountability. Okay. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go right into, because I got about 30 minutes. I'm going to go into chapter 2. Okay. Chapter 2 is called, let me see what first one was. Let me see what 2 is. So one was her childhood, where she came from and what made her. Chapter 2 is the teenage years, what happened, what she learns. And guys, if you're just coming in or you're going to go ahead and watch the playback, I'm reading Shahrazad Ali, The Black Man Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. Also, she has the Black Woman Guide to Understanding the Black Man. Okay. So in chapter 2, the teenage years, it says by the time the black girl child reaches teendom, she is fully schooled in the various manipulation skills available to be used on the black man. So now that, the girl child, she's now a teenage, she is fully skilled, with all the lies, and most of the stuff, it came out of her home. So, like I said there and say, you're going through all the stuff and all the brainwashing and, grooming your children. But once they get out, it's just going to just make them worse. And if they don't know how to balance this and know right from wrong and get out of all this fairy tale stuff that we have injected in these kids, then you're going to see and understand why the prisons, we got more of our black men and our black women incarcerated than they are in school. We got more prisons than we got hospitals, we got libraries, we got, things that's, going to help our black people grow. But why you think that they have more prisons? Because like I said, they grow up for failure. They grow up for failure. So right here it says that the facts that these opinions have been found has been formed from her emotionally wrought from her mother, television soap operas, like I said, Hollywood movies, true romance magazines, love songs does not matter to her. So all the stuff that she's feeding off her, she feeding off the lies that was taught to her by her parents. She feeding off the lies that was taught to her by television and soap operas and Hollywood movies. And like I said, we is set for failure. And you wondering why I was watching a content creator. He goes by the name Go Back to Africa, and how he was saying that the Africans, they really don't want American Africans and the diasporas, us coming. And I'm gonna say allegedly, but it's like they come in with this superiority complex, like they more superior, going back into Africa, as if they going to go ahead and take control, and they wondering why things does not set out the way that they thought, and they come back with these bad reports, because you have been injected with this European standards, and you thinking that just because you came from out of America or wherever you came, where you was westernized, you think that you're going to go and try to run Africa. But these people is not going to let you do that. So make sure you go ahead and check out that video, guys. Go back to Africa. And also, it says that the fact that these opinions have been formed from her emotional wrath, mother, television, soap operas, Hollywood movies, true romance magazines, and love songs doesn't matter to her. She believed these are documents of truth that she must adhere to be accepted into the womanhood club. So all that's fantasy, all those fairy tales, all those lies, it grows up into her teens. And she think that in order for her to be acceptable, then she's going to have to continue with what I call these whitewash lies. So now she have identity crisis. She have an identity crisis because she think that in order for her to measure up, she got to measure up to what I call the European standards, okay? The European standards. And by the time she is eager to learn all she can about the opposite sex with a single motivation of getting the black man to literally eat out of her hands, keeping certain secrets from the teenage boy as a way of life is already established as the norm. So she knows how to keep secrets. You know, she knows how to manipulate herself because of how she was taught, you know, how she was upbringing with all the fairy tale stuff, you know. So all that stuff is like a computer, you know, it's inside of her brains. It is during the time that the black teenage girls formed a special bond with a mother regarding black men, a type of in-house conspiracy that may include number one, a warning from the mother about not telling the father how much an item of clothing really costs. So now she knows how to manipulate because she taught it from home. She bringing all those generational curses into her future. And before you know it, when she get married, then she most likely she's going to be divorced or she's going to be miserable because she learned how to manipulate. So when she saw her mother, you know, hiding, you know, clothes, you know, and not telling the truth about the prices, you know, then she's going to do the same thing. Guys, like I sit there and say, I tells you all the time, the system is not broken. The system is only doing what the system is designed to do. Number two, not letting the father know that the mother had an accident or forgot to pay an important bill. So now she's hiding the bills. Now she said that most likely, you know, she taking the bill money, going out there and she's shopping. And once he found out, then she done tore the whole house down. Now they arguing over money. And most likely, you know, money is the root of all evil. Money is one of the major causes of divorce. So now they in the divorce court. And who are the ones that's going to get rich? The judges and the lawyers. Wow, this is good, guys. And like I said, you know, some of people, you know, they're not ready, but the Most High God say, tell it to them anyway. Four, that the daughter is on birth control. Okay. So the teenage daughter, you know, she's on birth control, you know, and we live in a society right now, you know, is not marriage before sex, is having sex before marriage. So you done went ahead, you know, now she's promiscuous, you know, you done went ahead and you put her on birth control. Five, keeping quiet about the girl failing a test in school to keep her from being punished or grounded. So now, you know, the teenage, you know, you helping your daughter, you know, to hide her grades from her father because you don't want her to get punished. So right there, what we are doing, we are setting our kids up for failure. Any topic discussed that's being with don't tell your father is wrong. This kind of conspiracy between the black mother and the black teenager girl seals their secret relationship. One with information is withholding in the name of keeping the peace. So you holding all that information because you trying to go ahead and keep the peace. what's in the dark is going to come out in the light. All you teaching them is how to sit there and set themselves up for failure. And seemingly horrible intention, lies operate on the dominant principle. If one lie is told, the teller is forced to tell another and another and another. So all you're doing is piling one lie on top of another lie. At the time the lie may seem harmless enough, they are considered a necessity. So you done told all these lies. So you teaching your kids how to be one big liar. And you all you doing is setting your child up for failure, okay? Thus, by using these tactics, the black teenage girl continued to prove to herself that the black man can be manipulated by one, instructing her mother to tell her boyfriend that she's not home in order to make him jealous. The mother will usually comply and relate the lie to the black male caller. So all this right here, guys, is is teaching your children how to sit there and manipulate. And you wondering why half of them is not married or divorced because of what they have gotten from the mother, okay? And we all are guilty of that. You know, all of us is guilty of that. But when you have the tools, then you're going to do what is best. Also, it says using her femininity attributes or flattering or a swivel of the hips to get his attention. She practiced how to use sexual innuity. So now she using her body. She using her body how to manipulate. And we got a lot of them doing that. A lot of them doing that. How they putting all these injections all in their bodies, breast implants, and putting all types of chemicals inside of their body, just to impress somebody else, not knowing all you're doing is damaging yourself because your body is a temple. Four, by talking to another boy to make him upset or as a threat to test him to see if he really serious about him. So now what you're doing is you're trying to make the man jealous. You're trying to bring jealous. Like I said, that jealousy is what I call a green eye monster. Okay. So we just doomed. We just setting for failure. Okay. The indirect lessons the black mother is teaching and agreeing with it. It's number one, it's okay to lie to the black man if you doing it to check his level of affection for you. Two, it's permissible to withhold the truth from the black man if the truth will make him displeased with you. Three, there are some issues that the black man just doesn't understand and some that they are just not his business. Four, artificial flatterer will take her for. All we doing is setting them up. That's all that is, just setting it up right there. And I'm going to go ahead and read four more keys. And after that, I'm going to go ahead and stop. All of this reaffirmed for the black teenage girl that number one, the black man is easily seduced, will believe whatever you tell him, and that she can get back at him by giving him anxiety. So like I said, guys, we got a lot to learn, a lot to learn. And the thing about it, when it comes to this book right here, I don't care how old this book is. Some of us can apply these principles because some of us need to go back to traditional ways, okay? At least some, because just look around how you see these young kids, and like I said, it's not getting better. If anything, it's getting worse. Two, all girls play the same games with their boyfriends, so it's obviously just the way things are and will be. Three, the easily way to get a black man attention is to cause him some kind of frustration resulting from a carefully executed plan. Four, and if she doesn't tell him, he never know. The teen years are thus spent trying our various schemes on the black man to test his reaction, sincerity, and the level of interest. She is well versed by this time to sift through whatever the black male says out of his mouth and decide what he really means and what her reaction should be. Part of this is explainable. Psychological agree that no human being views the world um, uh, through the eyes. What we see is edited by a definite set or predetermined rules and values that help create a certain viewpoint of various subject and situation. The very concept or reason that the black teenage girl used to determine what is right and wrong are derived by a tanty set of traditionally learned wickedness passed on from one black female to another, her mother or her female guardians. Often the girl will make up wild stories, create false emergencies, or intentionally stand up the boy or tease him with sexual promises until he vowed everlasting love. So, right there, guys, I am done with this chapter. I'm gonna be back next Sunday and I'm gonna continue because this is where our people at. And like I said there and say, not everybody can go ahead and grasp upon it because of the mindset of how we taught our children from a young age. And we going to be accountable. We going to be accountable for all the stuff that we have injected in our children, and we wondering why we going through what we are going through today. And the reason why we are going through what we are going to today is because of what we have instilled in our children. When quite obvious, the Bible says, train up a child in the way that they shall go, and when they grow old, they won't get parted. They won't depart it from what you had taught them. But if you training these kids how to manipulate, how to use their body to get what they want, which, like I said, we all was guilty of that. We all didn't have the tools. We didn't have people to teach us. But now, like I said, those that know better, they going to do better. We wondering why we got all this stuff that is going on, how our children, is failing in school and, going from school to prison pipes, and going to the streets and our women, how they manipulating and using their body thinking that's how it's supposed to be because of what we had injected in our kids. And what we have injected in our kids, it wasn't right. So we have to be truthful. We have to be truthful. We have to tell our children the truth, because if we don't tell our children the truth, trust me, they're going to find out the hard way. And you wondering why all the stuff that you see right now is going on, because of the lies that we have injected in our kids. And I know, everybody don't want to hear stuff like this, but like I said there and said, I got to do what I need to do, because you wondering why we are having these problems. You wondering why we are having these problems today. We are having these problems today because we help the system to destroy our children, our seed, and wondering why we still in what I call the state of Lodabar. We wondering why the divorce rate is so high. We wondering why our children are incarcerated. We wondering why we got more dropouts. We wondering why we seen our young teenagers. We wondering why we seen our young women, how they on the stage, and acting a plumb fool, and how they said they're being passed around because you taught your kids a lie. It's time for us to stop teaching our children a lie and start teaching our children the truth. Because when we know the truth, we're going to do better. And the truth is going to set us free. And that is real talk. And like I said there and say, we got to stop sitting there whitewashing everything. We got to stop it. If we want to see this generation rise up and move forward, then we got to sit there. We got to be honest, guys. We got to be honest, because they're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you. And that's where you, as a parent, as a guardian, you got to learn to tell your children the truth. Because if not, they are waiting. They are waiting to scoop them up. They're not sitting there trying to teach them, to tell them better. This is what not to do, because they felt that the parents should have done that. But the parents are no better than the ones on the outside. So why you think you got policemen not even a part of that community, just waiting to scoop your kids up, throwing them into the system, because they are setting you up for failure. Like I said there and say, the system is not messed up. It's doing exactly what it's designed to do. And that's to set this generation, the God and the goddesses, as failure, because they don't want to see us rise. They don't want to see us sit there and start doing for ourselves, because they look at us as children, because we act like children. We act like children. But if we act like children and they treat us like children and we look at them as daddy, they are the ones that are abusive. They are the most abusive daddy if we want to look at them as daddy. Because we would tear down our own brothers and our sisters to sit there and sit at their table. Leave these people stuff alone because, like I say, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. It all belongs to us anyway. It all belongs to us. Start loving on yourself. Start embracing yourself because we already know now. You know the truth. You know how it's all started because with these whitewashed lies, they put all this stuff in our way, teaching our kids, having us to teach our kids with all these lies as is normal. But it wasn't normal. These fairy tales, it was nothing but a whitewash lie, guys. That's all it was. Thinking you kids going to sit there and grow up and to be just like you teaching them in the book, in these books. That's why I sit there and say it's time for us to start telling our own story. Who can tell it better than the ones that's been through it? We can start writing our own story. It's time for us to rewrite our story. But long as we sat there at the table, buck dancing and acting a plumb fool and still asleep, then they can continue working overtime on us. And this is not being racist. This is not sitting there trying to hate one person. It's time for us to start embracing and start loving who we are. And that's real talk. Ain't no devil is going to tell you to get up and rise and start loving yourself, because the blind is not going to tell you that. The blind going to tell you to continue doing what you're doing, because they already know that they setting you for failure. They know who you are. But the thing about it is that you don't know who you are. So stop sitting there, setting our kids up for failure. I'm guilty too. I got a whole library full of fairy tale books for my child. But like I said, I just got into this book. And I sit there and say, I didn't know that I am the cause. I am the problem as well. And that's why I sit there and say it's time for us to start taking accountability of some of the things that we're doing. Just like I talk about the stuff that going on with Nature Boy, all those different characters that he picked up. Somebody failed him. He was failed as a child. Failed as a child. But when somebody going to say enough is enough, when someone is going to take accountability of the things that they have done, just like with the reality shows, how we watching all the train wrecks, all the stuff that's going on with those reality shows. I could take the foolish things to conform the wise because I see the outcome. I see the bigger picture. And you wondering why most of the people that goes on these type of shows are very dysfunctional, coming in, tearing each other up, will rip you apart, but will pretend that they live in this fairy tale life. These people is not living that life. These people are living a lie, but they injecting all that to you because they want you to go out there and lose yourself, going to all kinds of financial difficulties, get in debt, in bondage to try to keep up with the Joneses, but inside, as I say, living like the Walters. Guys, it's time for us to break these generational curses and say enough is enough. It's time for us to come out of error. It's time for us to start waking up. And this is where I'm going to be. This is where I'm going to stay, because it's time for us to shake the hell out of people. I'm talking to my people. I'm not talking to those wolves in sheep clothing, because we got a lot of us look like us, but they are wolves in sheep clothing. I'm talking to people that's ready to sit there and say enough is enough. But I don't know about you guys, but it's time for us to sit there and pick up our cross, and start walking. And start walking. And stop teaching our kids these lies. Start telling our children the truth. But you see, like I said, we live in this, what I call the European standard. We live in this Western society where We believe all the stuff that was taught to us, the Easter bunnies. We're going to break the bank for the Easter bunny, not knowing the history behind the Easter bunny, which I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a report on that, the Easter bunny. Don't you know that is one of the pagan holidays? And yet we want to sit there, we want to crucify people and quick to sit there and call people the devil. But you don't know that you the devil yourself. You acting like the devil too. You worshiping the devil too. Because when you start worshiping all these false pagan idols, then you worshiping the devil. Know the history behind these Santa Claus, Saint Nick. Know the history behind those Easter bunnies, the fertility goddess. Man, you don't know what you are tampering with. And that's real talk. So he that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit of the Lord is saying. Because I told you guys I'm going to be here only 1 hour, and I'm gonna go ahead and keep my word. So on that note, guys, I'm going to close it out. You all have a blessed night. And this book, make sure you go ahead and get this book. This is by Shahraz Ali. Let me see if I can go ahead and get it a little closer so you all can see. See if I can pull it up a little closer. Yeah. This book right here is Shahrazad Ali, The Black Man Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. Make sure you get this book, guys. I don't know if you can see it, but make sure you go ahead and get this book. And this is real talk. So on that note, you all be blessed and you enjoy the rest of your night.